Have you ever wondered why we cannot smoke inside an airplane? As a kid, this was a big question for me. I remember sitting by the window on a flight, watching the smoke billowing out of the engines and thinking to myself, why can they smoke but I can't? Well, it turns out there are several reasons why smoking is banned in planes. And none of them have anything to do with your fellow passengers' secondhand smoke. In today's video, we're going to go through 4 reasons why we cannot smoke inside an airplane. And stick around until the end, because the last one might surprise you. Let's get started. No. 1. Fire hazard. It should come as no surprise that smoking is prohibited on airplanes due to the risk of fire. Airplanes are essentially flying metal tubes filled with highly flammable materials such as plastic, fuel, and oxygen. The combination of these factors creates a perfect firestorm waiting to happen. Now, obviously, we don't want a fire breaking out on board an aircraft. Not only would this be incredibly dangerous for everyone on board, but it would also make landing the plane significantly more difficult. After all, how do you put out a fire when you 30,000 feet up in the sky with no fire hydrants around? If a fire were to break out on a plane, the crew would have to don their firefighting suits and use the onboard fire extinguishers to battle the blaze. But even then, they may not be able to put the fire out completely, in which case they would need to deploy the cargo pods. Located under the floor of the aircraft, which are designed to separate the aircraft into 2 halves in the event of a fire. If this happens, the crew will then aim to land the aircraft on a nearby airstrip, while evacuating any uninjured passengers. This process is known as a belly flop and is something that you definitely want to avoid if at all possible. So to reduce the risk of fire, many airlines have actually banned smoking on board their flights for many years now. This includes both domestic and international flights. In fact, smoking is not allowed anywhere on an airplane, including the bathroom. You can't even light up after the seatbelt sign has been turned off. No! 2. Oxygen deprivation. Have you ever tried to light a candle while underwater? It's impossible because there isn't enough oxygen in the water for the candle to burn. The same principle applies to smoking in airplanes. The oxygen levels on board an aircraft are much lower than they are on the ground. This is because the air inside the plane has been recycled so often that it has become quite thin. Additionally, the higher altitude means that there's simply less oxygen available. This combination of factors makes it very difficult for a fire to start and spread. However, it does also make it much harder for people to breathe. That's why some people experience difficulty breathing on airplanes. It's not because they have a cold or are out of shape or anything like that. It's because the air is just thinner up in the sky now. Because of this, it is actually illegal to smoke on an airplane unless you in the cockpit and the pilot specifically allows it. This is because the smoke could potentially set off the smoke alarm, which would trigger the oxygen masks to drop. And trust me, you don't want to be stuck in an airplane without oxygen. Just ask the crew of Malaysia Airlines Flight 17, no. 3. Explosions. Obviously, we don't want fires breaking out on airplanes. We also don't want explosions. While the chances of this happening are slim, it is still a possibility. You see, when you smoke, you're inhaling a mixture of gases and particulates. These particulates are tiny little solid particles that can cause all sorts of problems, especially in a high-altitude environment. For example, if you were to smoke on an airplane, these particles could potentially make their way into the jet engine and cause an explosion. Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm not a rocket scientist, but I'm pretty sure that those engines are designed to handle a few little smoke particles, and you'd be right. However, what you're not considering is the immense power of an airplane engine. These things are absolutely massive and incredibly powerful, capable of sucking in huge amounts of air and fuel and burning them at a nearly instantaneous rate. All it takes is for a few of those smoke particles to get into the engine and cause a small imbalance in the air-fuel ratio. This could then lead to a small explosion in the engine, which could cause serious damage. Now, I'm not saying that smoking on an airplane is likely to cause an engine explosion, but I am saying that it's not impossible. And considering the potential consequences, it's just not worth the risk. Now, secondhand smoke. Look, I am not spend too much time on this one. because I am sure you already know that secondhand smoke is bad for your health. But here's the thing. When you're on an airplane, it's basically impossible to avoid secondhand smoke. The air inside the cabin is constantly being recycled, and the filters are not designed to remove smoke particles. This means that if someone is smoking on the plane, you're going to breathe in that smoke, whether you like it or not. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure that breathing in other people's smoke is not healthy for you. In fact, it's been linked to all sorts of respiratory problems, heart disease, and even cancer. Now, obviously, this is not something that you want to be exposed to while on vacation. So, there you have it, for reasons why we cannot smoke inside an airplane. Hopefully, this video has helped to answer a question that you've been meaning to ask for a long time. If it has, please leave a like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.